Hello there, you, the viewer. So, I've been sitting here racking my brain on what exactly it is I did wrong in order to receive the anger of the YouTube algorithm gods. My once usual couple thousand views has suddenly drastically dropped into the mere hundreds, and I can't say I know why. However, my subscriber count has been going up, so it only adds on to my confusion. I wonder what it could have been. Could it be the talk of homosexuals? Could it be the talk of the Communist Party propaganda? Could it be the lobotomized women? Perhaps it's the neurodivergent turn my channel has taken. In this case, I will never know. Perhaps YouTube is angry at me because I haven't been making Punishing Grey Raven videos. Well, I just recently got into the Duet Night Abyss CBT and I absolutely plan to not make a video about it right now. So instead, I'm going to be talking about my new recent obsession, Tribe 9. Now, I'm sure you could tell by the title, I have some things to say about this game, and all of it is going to be positive. What is it you kids say nowadays? Glazing, as you call it? Or has that since been retired? Anyways, my name's Ragashu, and allow me to tell you guys about my recent obsession over Tribe 9. So, from my understanding, some of the people who made Danganronpa, a game about minors killing each other because they received some form of despair-inducing psychomania, were behind the creation of Tribe 9. Now, for years I have been a fan of Danganronpa, maybe for the better part of nearly 10 years, first seeing it when I was just 16 years old. And when I saw the art style of Tribe 9, I was snatched up immediately and instantaneously invested until I saw it was about baseball. I was devastated, shocked even, but who would have thought that after playing it for myself, the baseball mode ended up being one of my favorite modes because they took baseball to the extreme. Have you ever watched baseball and wanted the players to have Dragon Ball level interactions, as well as players beating the shit out of each other? Well, in Tribe 9, that's exactly what happens. You see, in Tribe 9, you play this game called XB, which I can only assume is Extreme Baseball, in which the players must use the entirety of the city as their baseball field in order to play the game. Confused? I was too. Do you remember the class trials from Danganronpa and how they used this method to overglorify simple conversations about murder or calling each other cum dumpsters? Well, that's what they use baseball for. You see, in XB, what they do is while they play baseball, all of the players scream at each other and constantly try to say their ideology on life is wrong and the ultimate killing games need to stop, while the opposing side just screams that you need to die. After many such back and forths, the team that scores the most home runs obviously wins, and the other team will either be spared by you, the protagonist, or be brutally killed by space lasers because they had a skill issue. The combat in this game is probably the slowest combat I have ever played in a gacha, or maybe it's because my wife Inoki is slow as fuck, but it actually ended up being one of my favorite things to do. The combat is difficult to say the least, and I don't know how it is I'm supposed to be grinding levels yet, or even using gear in this game, but I'm sure we'll get there. Speaking of the difficult combat, see these pink blood stains on the floor. In Dark Souls fashion, you can actually see how many people ended up dying in the area. Unfortunately, you cannot see how, and yet you can kind of paint the picture yourself, as you see a butt-naked man glowing red as he stands at a resounding level 5 while you are still level 3. The gacha system is fine, but I haven't had a 10 pull in the past 50 years since starting the game. Surely this won't be a problem in the future. Though, then again, Tribe 9 did an excellent job making the game feel less like a gacha and more like a non-gacha, similar to how Limbus Company is. Even one of my friends who detests gacha games actually really wants to play it herself. Do you remember in Danganronpa how it had one of the best visual novel emotions for their PNGs? Well, that doesn't end up getting lost in Tribe 9 as it's a Danganronpa conversation, but it's 3D. Very cool. As for the story so far has been interesting. The game does a very good and compelling job so far, making the main villain Zero come across as some form of man-child who is so obsessed with playing games and presumably not feeling lonely that he's willing to blow up the earth. I believe that's a very visceral yet understandable reaction. You play as someone named Yo, who has been kidnapped by these terrorists that work for Zero, who has had you role-playing in a a generic hero serves the goddess, potentially homoerotic roleplay for 2 years of your life, making you lose your memories and almost lose your will to live, as you suddenly be thrust back into reality that the goddess doesn't love you and that no one probably will. After being saved, however, by these group of people called Trash Tribe, you are then adopted into them and meet up with 2 of your childhood friends that you have no idea who they are, but they say they love you very much and oh, they died. Never mind, they're not dead. Whew. Don't worry, the Danganronpa killings hasn't started yet. But anyways, I haven't made it too extremely far into the story. I've been too busy jerking off into my bed as I imagine feeding and fucking Inoki at the same time. Speaking of characters, Danganronpa does an amazing job at making all of the characters very likable in their own way, even the weird ones and the villains. And I'm just talking about the class trial involved individuals. I am not talking about anyone from Ultra Despair Girls. Luckily in Tribe 9, that's also the case in terms of pretty much all of the characters being likable. Despite the roster of characters being very small, I even found myself liking the characters I thought were simply annoying little muskrats that I couldn't wait to see die, or gigantic ultimate imposter looking ass whales, as I proceeded to look forward to their next wacky, out of touch, overly dramatic lines from their over dramatic personalities. Seeing the way all of them text each other in their little group chat is also heartwarming to see. Seeing their personalities come through even through text is also something I think is very cool. The character models are appealing, the voices are great, and Inoki makes me want to offer her a specialized hot dog from yours truly. Actually, knowing her IQ up to this point, she might actually end up biting into the hot dog too hard and causing a bit of a life-threatening ketchup explosion. Now that I think about it, maybe I should step back and assess the situation, and then further decide the risk is necessary. Necessary risks aside, I also wonder when the Monokuma of the story will appear, if they'll even have one. To be honest, it's the only type of mascot I'll care about in these gacha games in general, and I hope it's a chaotic entity who thrives off of the suffering and despair of others, and not some helpful tutorial mouthpiece. I've been enjoying these silent tutorials as I sit there and stare at my screen silently reading. Please, for the love of all things that are holy and even unholy, do not accompany the tutorials with a high-pitched voice-having tiny character. There's only so much of that I can take. Please, do not add a character that's going to be reiterating everything that's already just happened within the game. Do not add a tiny character that will repeat lines and phrases from several other characters as they are explaining their plan or explaining some form of situation or idea. Please, I'm begging you, my life is in your hands. Now, aside from rooting through garbage like some form of bum on the street, something I almost neglected to mention is the music in this game is absolutely phenomenal. From its title screen, to its combat, to simply running around the world in your pixelated form. If you're a fan of Danganronpa, then you're going to be a fan of this music. It made me feel as though I need to constantly watch my back and paranoidly pay attention to everything in case a Blackened attempts to take mine or anyone else's life around me. I can't say that I sat there and listened to too much of a gacha game's music by sitting there and vibing, but this game, along with Zenless Zone Zero, let me do exactly that. But anyways, this game has been extremely fun to play, and I have been having an absolute blast seeing the new people come into my streams and stick around as I go through the game, pointing at my screen like a schizophrenic off his meds saying, "That's from Danganronpa! That's from Danganronpa! That's from Danganronpa!" Anyways, thank you for watching this video, I truly do appreciate it. Consider liking and commenting, especially subscribing, so that my YouTube channel doesn't get completely buried by the algorithm who suddenly hates me. Anyways, I love you guys, thank you for watching, and I want you all to take care, and peace.